The beauty of what we have now is everything now is in sync to standard and working perfectly as planned.
I'm Oni Sunday, and in a few minutes, we'll be bringing you the story of a major turning point in Nigeria's energy sector, the long-anticipated resumption of operations in Nigeria's first refinery, the old Port Harcourt Refinery. But this series is much more than the revival of operations in just one refinery. It's part of a broader commitment by NNPC Limited to restore full functionality across all its refineries, ensuring Nigeria's energy independence and long-term sustainability. In this documentary, we'll take you behind the scenes to explore the extensive efforts and strategic investments that have made these achievements possible. Flares up. The vibrant sound of steam-powered machines rents the air. Men at work. Refined products readily available, and distribution on schedule. Built in 1965, the 60-year-old Port Harcourt Refinery, Nigeria's first refinery, once dormant, is now operational.
The support for this project, this resilience is precious with us to make sure that we deliver this project. It's monumental, and we know that without that support, it would have been impossible to achieve this. And I would like to thank him personally and on behalf of all of us in NNPC. We thank Mr. President for the leadership support that he gave us.
With a capacity to refine 60,000 barrels per day, this metallic edifice, though moribund for decades, has stood the test of time. Barely surviving a fire outbreak that destroyed its crude processing unit in 1991, the old refinery became a relic of sorts over the years. Over time, operations at the new Port Harcourt Refinery and other refineries across the country ground to a halt, delivering a deadly blow to the nation's 445,000 barrels per day capacity.
NNPC owns 3 key refineries. Port Harcourt Refinery, which is 210,000 barrels per day capacity. Warri Refinery, which is about 125,000 barrels per day capacity. And then Kaduna, which is 110,000 barrels per day capacity. All of them make what we call the 445,000 barrel per day NNPC refineries. Now, as you know, the NNPC refineries over the past years have not been actually in operations. And what we've done over the past 3-4 years is first and foremost to bring them back to life.
In 2019, the management of NNPC Limited made a bold decision. A decision to turn the tide, to breathe new life into the old Port Harcourt Refinery and reverse Nigeria's dependency on imported fuels. The PHRC rehabilitation project was not merely a financial decision. It was a matter of national pride, economic independence, and energy security.
The NNPC Refineries Rehabilitation Program was designed to restore domestic refining capacity in the country, to improve energy security, petroleum product supply assurance, and to stimulate economic growth. This will reduce dependency on imported fuels, thereby reducing the risks of shortages and supply challenges, as well as foreign exchange issues.
Attempts to revive the old Port Harcourt Refinery suffered several setbacks over the years. From procurement issues to finance, reviving the old Port Harcourt Refinery seemed impossible. Owing to its level of dilapidation, the refinery wasn't up for a quick fix. Its major components and supporting infrastructure needed replacement. In 2020, NNPC's management changed its strategy to EPC tendering for the PHRC refineries, rehab and quick fixes for Warri and Kaduna refineries. This pivot marked the beginning of NNPC Limited's refinery rehabilitation program.
For Port Harcourt, we're doing a complete revamp. There's a difference between a revamp and a quick fix project. And for Port Harcourt, for Warri and Kaduna, we're doing a quick fix. Quick fix meaning we're just going to look at the key equipments, either static or rotating equipment, the tankage, and just fix the ones that are not functional, which is different from the revamp, which take away everything and build it from scratch. So that's the plan over the last 3 to 4 years.
The PHRC rehab was awarded to Technimont on the 6th of April 2021.
It's been interesting, challenging, but I'm really excited and really fulfilling that we've come this far. Basically, this rehabilitation, we started with integrity checks. And in this process of the integrity check, those things that failed, we had to ensure that they were replaced, based upon the scope of work. We had the mechanical completion, and we now started the pre-commissioning activities. That was quite challenging, quite revealing, because like I told you then, we had massive replacements of a lot of the equipment within the plant. However, we also used so many of the ones that were old that were still there. So we had to do this integration of the new and the old.
From the facility's instrumentation and control units to the rotating equipment comprising pumps and compressors, the refinery has undergone a complete upgrade. Electrical systems, which include substations, transformers, cables, switch gears and panels, are all brand new, while static equipment like tanks and heater columns have been refurbished. Getting a refinery started, however, requires much more.
As we were commissioning, a lot of things threw up and we had to correct them. So we had an extensive pre-commissioning activity. Then we now got to a point when we were ready to introduce hydrocarbon and we needed the permits to do that. It was also a process. It took us a while to be able to get the regulators to come on board and allow us to go ahead. And then when we also put in the hydrocarbon, we had to go through processes of stabilizing the plant and getting market-grade products to come out. It's all very carefully calibrated processes because we have to ensure safety of the plant.
Currently operating at 80% capacity, the old Port Harcourt Refinery is producing straight-run gasoline, which is blended into PMS, kerosene, light and heavy gas oil, which is blended to diesel, heavy gas oil and light pour fuel oil used for industrial heating. While an operational refinery means availability of fuel for over 200 million Nigerians, to the Nigerian engineers who get to resume here daily, it's the reignition of a sense of purpose. For those who were here from the start, it's a sense of pride, an opportunity to relive the past and revive a legacy they helped build. I caught up with some of these engineers from Okreka and Eleme communities. Chief Joseph Mpa, an engineer from Eleme community, retired 35 years ago as a maintenance supervisor in the Civil Works Department of Area 5 of the Port Harcourt Refinery. An athlete in his prime, he gained employment at the refinery at the age of 19, where he started out in the admin department and was in charge of piping and fabrication over the years.
I was employed on the 17th of November, 1971. There was joy, there was pleasure then. In fact, we were nicknamed operators of the Kettle Refinery. They call Area 5 the Kettle Refinery. Very solid as it was built then. And then there were more manual operations than what we have now. So we had joy in producing for the nation what they needed, and it was wonderful. This culture of maintenance was part of what has hit up the plant. It at last started slowing down to where it almost grounded, in fact it grounded to a halt. And thank God for the government of the day who said no, let it come back on stream.
Elder King Albert Okanje here gained employment at PHRC in 1978 and retired in 2006. He worked as a process plant operator in Area 5 and retired as a shift supervisor. He says that while operations at the refinery was gradually declining, they had to do everything possible to keep the flame burning.
It actually crashed in 1989. So after everything, we tried to see how I personally, Chief Engineer Paul Obele was our crew leader when we want to light the flare. And we have tried everything humanly possible, everything we know. It didn't work. I suggested that this thing, we can light it manually. And that is to keep this nation going. I was the person that climbed the flare light to go and light it physically. Sincerely, in the training school, we are taught not to enter the plant with the naked light, but just to see that the refinery, if anything had happened sincerely, no, they would have denied me, because the instruction is that no naked light, but just to see that our products were best in the world. All our products, from PMS, from the Keru, ATK, especially our ATK, the one who used to fly airplane, the best of all. Vessel line up at jetty just to collect. So we ensure to see that it keeps working.
Elder Kienabere Emmanuel worked in the new Port Harcourt Refinery. He has fond memories of the old refinery situated in the same premises.
Very hardly you have both the old and the new one working simultaneously. I know the time of Abacha, he made effort to do that. That is what memory I can remember. You know, they tried, they spent a lot of money, and the system did not work. Different government has come, tried to make frantic efforts. They never got any result. But this time around, Tinubu's government has really gotten the 100%. If they maintain other specific parts that are very necessary to continue the business. If we go and sleep, we'll still go back. Oh. This is a very good system. Run this system, use the money to maintain the new refinery.
The delay in delivery, however, did not sit well with many. For NNPC Limited, the goal wasn't only to get the refinery started, but to keep it running optimally for decades to come. For that to happen, necessary boxes had to be ticked.
The rehabilitation, the integrity checks, all were done in the cold. Now, the more you go to the hot temperature, where you're now doing your commissioning and the pre-commissioning itself, you now begin to see new revelations. And some things have to be replaced, because in the static mode, they were good. But now in the dynamic mode, the reality is different. They are now, the rubber has hit the road. So obviously, they didn't pass the test again. So you have to get them going. So that's very true. We did a lot of that to get to this level. The beauty of what we have now is everything now is in sync to standard and working perfectly as planned.
The heart of the old Port Harcourt Refinery is fully automated. The control room makes it easier to operate the plant, which operated a numeric system for decades. At every given time, 10 panel men are seated to ensure a smooth operation.
It's the engine room of the plant. With it, you know whatever is happening outside. In fact, with it, they tell you, do this, do that, your level is high, your temperature is low, your pressure is high. They control every activity all from here. This is the brain, this is the heart of the refinery. You can't run a refinery without a control system like this. And so we call it a control room. And these people you see are the panel men. It was purely manual. But they have to renovate the place, they have to rebuild the place, and they have to bring it up to this level. There was a modernized system, automated system.
With the revival of an auxiliary boiler that had never worked for decades and several sub-units in operation, the refinery, which is currently operating at 80% capacity, will be fully operational after the commissioning of other units. For those who have been part of this journey from the start, visiting the old Port Harcourt Refinery was a moment of pride and an opportunity to revive a legacy. As they walk on familiar grounds, each of them are eager to educate us about the machines before us.
Each of the line has control valve and the bypass. So in case the control valve, like this one, has problem, we'll use the bypass and it will do the same work.
Visiting the control room was the climax of their visit. In here, nothing looked familiar, except for colleagues who carried on after they retired.
What I'm seeing right now is impressive. I'm very happy. The structure outside is what was there before. All the exchangers, the coolers, the condensers is what is there. Even these pumps were there before. That is when we want to increase our production. We start these two pumps.
I worked here, I work as a rotary technician. As some of the pumps today, I can see that the pumps have been replaced.
I left this place about 18 years ago. And what I come to see now is a new farm. It's a new farm. As I speak now, what I see here is an indication that we are moving forward.
Few years behind, this sound I'm hearing, a steaming automated plant, I never witnessed. As an engineer now, the satisfaction it gave to me was a reflection of our contribution when we meet a running plant. It gives us the joy. I will pray this should continue.
But we are happy that today, even the sound of the plant is so friendly.
It's a tour they've longed for. Beyond the production of liquid fuels, expectations are high for the refinery in bridging the gap on the use of cooking gas in Nigeria. The managing director of the Port Harcourt Refinery, Ibrahim Onoja, says the real game changer will be the new Port Harcourt Refinery when it becomes operational.
The new Port Harcourt Refinery is more complex than the old Port Harcourt Refinery in that it has more complex units like the fluid catalytic cracking unit, the FCCU. So it's able to bring in more light products. So the heavy ends that have lower value are upgraded to light products. So this new plant can actually churn out more premium motor spirits, PMS, and more diesel than the old one. And the new plant, the new Port Harcourt Refinery, has a capacity of 150,000 barrels per day compared to the old one, which has a 60,000 barrels per day. So the new plant is 2.5 times the size of the old plant. So we're going to get more products to come into the market. And in terms of profit, that's the one that really is a game changer.
Built in 1989, the new Port Harcourt Refinery is undergoing extensive rehabilitation alongside its older counterpart. However, though smaller, the old refinery was prioritized due to its shorter delivery timeline. The new Port Harcourt Refinery last operated in January 2019.
For the new Port Harcourt Refinery, it's made up of several areas, and we are at about 70 to 80% completion. And what we want to do is to go through unit by unit, system by system, component by component, and starting them up all the way to the last unit, and then start it up. This is going to take several months to complete the new Port Harcourt Refinery. Now, when we have all the two, the old and the new together, then we have a fully viable operational plant that is efficient and can deliver all the products in the real sense of it, so that we know how we can tweak the yields. So if, for example, we want to produce more AGO diesel, we can produce more diesel if that is what the market needs, and it's going to make us more margin. Again, it's about looking at the crack spread of each of the products and making sure that we actually optimize.
To get all 4 refineries up and running, NNPC Limited has engaged a consortium of foreign contractors working together with its in-house international engineering and technical company, Netco.
We've engaged the best-in-class engineering, procurement, and construction, that's the EPC companies. As I said earlier, Technimo, SPA, and Daewoo E&C Nigeria Limited, who leverage advanced technologies, expertise for equipment upgrade, engagement of our local workforce to contain or to get involved into the local content while assuring higher safety standards in the rehabilitation works, resulting in a cumulative 28 million LTI free man-hours across the 3 projects. This is also to ensure compliance with contract execution best practice. Our in-house reputable international engineering consulting company, Netco, and its consortium of partners is carrying out the owner's engineer PMC role to ensure the rehab works is carried out in line with the project specification and requirements. The selection process of the EPC contractors is an outcome of a transparent and rigorous tendering process where 2 companies, Technimo, SPA, and Daewoo, are the most qualified as an international EPC contractors from an objective, technical, and commercial perspective.
The rehabilitation of Nigeria's refineries, led by Technimont SP, is being funded through external financing. A key condition for the loan is ensuring sustainability. To meet this requirement, NNPC Limited has established a long-term operate and maintain contract to safeguard the future of these facilities. Bayo Adenrele, the coordinator of NNPC Limited's refineries, explains the interim arrangement currently in place to ensure seamless operations in both refineries.
Refinery is not about just startup, it's about sustainability. So we built a sustainability model into the operations of the refinery. So what we're doing and the management has taken good decision in that state. If you look at Port Harcourt Refinery, we are funding it through external funding and also equity. And one of the conditions in the external funding when the loan was granted to us was that we should ensure and demonstrate that we would have a sustainability process and plan in place, which is having a long-term operations and maintenance contractor or contract in place to operate and maintain the refinery. We will not be operating and maintaining the refinery.
For decades, the absence of scheduled maintenance across Nigeria's 4 refineries led to their gradual deterioration. Under the new operate and maintain contract, structured maintenance plans will be implemented.
In that operations and maintenance phase, this particular entity, the partner or the vendor or the contractor as you will call it, will now dictate and have what we call a planned maintenance schedule that would enable us to look at what piece of equipment needs to be serviced, maintained at what frequency.
This approach ensures that no more than 1 refinery is shut down at a time, maintaining consistent production and reducing the risk of disruptions to Nigeria's fuel supply chain. Besides the contracts, NNPC Limited has also secured the backbone infrastructure required to ensure the refinery is constantly supplied crude oil through its supply product agreement with NNPC Trading and the offtake of refined products by NNPC Retail. For NNPC Limited, this is much more than just fuel production. It's about fueling progress, restoring confidence, and refining hope for a self-reliant future where Nigeria harnesses all its resources for the benefit of all.